Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Hong Kong film. Creating a wealth of wealth, summoning the Expendables at the beginning. Yonghao traveled to the world of Hong Kong integration and became the eldest son of the Ni family. Yonghao activated the Super Chable system, creating a world-class Chable and becoming a century-old family. At the beginning, summoned the Death Squad and set a small goal to sweep the entire underground world of Hong Kong Island. The Ni family is a terrifying family that involves various industries such as oil, arms, finance, heavy industry, technology, and entertainment. Using Hong Kong Island as a springboard to immerse oneself in the entire world. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. The Corleone Family and the Superwealth System. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Eagle Sauce Country, Corleone Family. In a luxurious estate, looking at the beautiful figure in the swimming pool, Yonghao's expression was somewhat dazed. It had been a year. A blond man beside him looked at Yonghao with a bitter smile and waved his right hand in front of him. Sorry, Tony. Yonghao, who had come to his senses, looked apologetically at the blond man and then raised his glass in his hand. Tony Corleone is a good friend he met while studying in Eagle Sauce Country. And he is the eldest son of the famous Corleone family, the Mafia family. You weren't thinking about that beautiful girl just now, were you? Then don't let Eliza know. Watching the blonde beauty walk up from the swimming pool, Tony Corleone rolled his eyes and smiled as he spoke. Upon hearing this, Eliza's footsteps paused before slowly walking behind Yonghao. Just thinking about something. Yonghao gently shook his head and patted Eliza with his right hand. Eliza Corleone is the sister of his good friend and also the little princess of the Corleone family. He is a time traveler. In his past life, he was a financial giant, but when he woke up, he suddenly crossed over. And it is also a world filled with many movies and TV shows, becoming the eldest son of the Ni family. It's the Ni family in the infernal affairs realm, and it's also the elder brother of Yonghao. His father is actually smart and has always wanted to whitewash. Then they had already sent their two brothers abroad to study. Although there is no golden finger like the system, it relies on memory. Over the past year, I have earned millions of dollars through finance. Step. A handsome man in a suit walked over and then lowered his head to say something in Yonghao's ear. Tony, do me a favor. A cold light flashed in Yonghao's eyes, and he slowly lifted his head. Brother, you say. Tony Corleone's expression became serious and he spoke in a deep voice. He has known Yonghao for 5 years and is very clear about his talent and abilities. Even his father is very optimistic about his brother. Help me prepare a batch of weapons. Yonghao drank all the red wine in his glass and said coldly. Arms. As soon as the words fell, Tony couldn't help but be taken aback, while Eliza looked at him with concern. How, did something happen? Eliza, I'm sorry, it seems I won't be able to attend your banquet. Something happened at home, I need to go to Hong Kong Island to handle it. Looking at Eliza's worried gaze, Yonghao's heart warmed and he spoke clearly. Although this girl has a Western face, she has the gentle personality of an Eastern woman. And he always thinks for him, willing to give everything for him. No problem, I'll have someone help you transport it back to Hong Kong Island in a few days. Tony nodded. Arms are a small matter for the Corleone family. He is familiar with the family background of his brother. Well, then you must be careful when you go back to Hong Kong Island. Eliza nodded with a smile, but her gaze flickered, unsure of what she was thinking. Ding, the Super Chable system is being bound. Ding, the Super Chable system has been successfully bound. Ding, reward beginners with a big gift pack. Yonghao nodded. Just as he was about to speak, a mechanical sound echoed in his mind. System. Quickly, a massive amount of information flooded into my mind about the system's capabilities and functions. Yonghao's face remained unchanged, but a wave stirred up in his heart. This is to prepare oneself to build a wealthy family, like Morgan's. The system has a shopping mall that contains weapons, various items, and capabilities. It can even summon various types of people, but it requires gold coins. 10,000 Hong Kong dollars per gold coin. In addition to being able to exchange money for coins, it is also possible to complete system tasks. Task 1. Revenge your father, kill all the killers who killed your father, reward 50 gold coins. Task 2. Clean up Tsim Sha Sui, promote the Ni family to a second-rate family, and reward 200 gold coins. He didn't expect to travel for a year, and only then did the golden finger bind. Character panel, host, Ni Yonghao influence. Ni family, third-class family, money. 21.3 million, beautiful knife, skills. Master of trading, proficient in finance, advanced in marksmanship, proficient in comprehensive combat, and advanced in form and intention boxing. He just glanced and found that abilities are the most expensive, followed by summoning characters. Gao Jin, go prepare. Ni Yonghao regained his senses and then spoke to the man beside him. The reason why he wants to return to Hong Kong Island is because his father was killed. I didn't expect to remind him, but in the end, Ni Kun still couldn't escape this calamity. Now the Ni family is in chaos, and his younger brother has also returned to his home country, so let him go back and take charge of the overall situation. Gao Jin nodded and quickly left. He was saved by Ni Yonghao 3 years ago and has been following this man ever since. Ni, do you need my help? Tony looked at Gao Jin's back and then turned to Ni Yonghao. Although I don't know what happened to the Ni family, his brother is sure to have a big fight on Hong Kong Island since he needs to use weapons. No need, it's just a small matter. I can handle it. Ni Yonghao smiled and shook his head, knowing who killed Ni Kun. Although I haven't seen Ni Kun, after all, he is the father of his body. And during the time he came to study, Ni Kun often called over. He also clearly felt the other party's concern for him. And even if it weren't for this, he was planning to return to Hong Kong Island next year. At this time, Hong Kong Island is covered in gold everywhere. Not to mention the system now. By the way, just send the weapons to the port and I will have them transported away. Ni Yonghao suddenly thought of the system, and then the conversation changed. The system has a space. Okay, I need to say it, we're brothers. Tony nodded with a smile, believing in Ni Yonghao's abilities. And Eliza stood obediently behind Ni Yonghao, without speaking. Chapter 2. Return to Hong Kong Island, summon the Expendables. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. On the plane, looking at several foreigners around him, Gao Jin's body couldn't help but tighten. He has been following Ni Yonghao for a year and has never seen these people. These people have a smell of gunpowder on their bodies, they must be active on the battlefield. Gao Jin, don't be nervous, this is your own person. Ni Yonghao shook his head helplessly. He had opened the beginner's gift package and received these few people. The Death Squad is a group of experienced mercenaries with a total of 8 people. He was originally thinking about the shortage of manpower around him, but he didn't expect the newbie gift package to surprise him. In addition to the Death Squad, there are also $100,000 worth of swords, proficient in the 8 extremes. Ability. Beginner, Intermediate, Advanced, Beginner, Proficient, Perfect, Grandmaster. The combat power of Bonnie's 8 men is very amazing, and many of them were born as Special Forces soldiers. Hey buddy, don't be nervous. We all work for the boss, the same boss. Christmas smiled and looked at Gao Jin, then patted his shoulder, revealing his big white teeth. Eliza. Ni Yonghao ignored the few people and suddenly turned his head to look at the woman behind him. As soon as she finished speaking, Eliza took off her hat and quietly looked at Ni Yonghao. Ni Yonghao pulled Eliza over, stroked her golden hair, and then shook his head helplessly. What else can we do now that everyone has followed? He didn't expect that Eliza would also quietly follow him on the plane. And Gao Jin and the others exchanged a glance before slowly leaving. I'm worried about you. Eliza grabbed Ni Yonghao's right hand with both hands and spoke softly. Does your father know? Ni Yonghao patted Eliza's hand and asked softly. Eliza nodded. Although she followed secretly, she told her father before boarding the plane. After taking care of your family's affairs, I'll take you on a tour of Hong Kong Island. Ni Yonghao looked at the scenery outside the window and then smiled and spoke up. To be honest, he has only been to Hong Kong Island in his past life, and it must be different now. Although the current Hong Kong Island is covered in gold everywhere, it is also very chaotic. Airport. Big Brother's proudest thing is having you two brothers, and he really wants to see you two brothers get married. I didn't expect. A man in his 50s looked at the falling plane and then clenched his fist. Ni Yongshao, dressed in a suit, remained silent, but a cold light flashed in his eyes. He is also investigating the murderer of his father, but there are too many people trying to eradicate the Ni family, and for a while, nothing will be found. After learning about his father's death, major clubs have made significant moves now. Moreover, within the Ni family, there is also a chaotic situation, and all four major families have different intentions. Coming out. Ni Yongxiao's gaze suddenly paused and he looked closely at the few people who had walked out. Although he hadn't seen him for several years, he still recognized his older brother at a glance. More mature, the two brothers are not like members of the club, they are both gentle and refined at first glance. However, when he saw Barney and the others, Ni Yongxiao's pupils couldn't help but freeze. Big brother. Yonghao. The two quickly welcomed each other, while the third uncle looked at Eliza with some surprise in his heart. I didn't expect that Yonghao, this kid, actually brought back a big ocean horse this time. Third uncle, eternal filial piety. Ni Yonghao glanced at the people behind the two, and then a smile appeared on his face. Big brother, who are they? The two brothers hugged each other, and Ni Yongxiao smiled as he looked at Barney and the others. And the third uncle was also looking at the Barney group, and he could also see that these people were not simple. These people have definitely killed anyone, just standing there makes people feel oppressive. It's not like the oppressive force of club members, but rather a bit like soldiers. Let's go home first, our own people. Ni Yonghao nodded without much explanation, and then spoke in a deep voice. Upon hearing this, Uncle San and Ni Yongxiao exchanged a glance without asking much. On the car, Eliza obediently sat next to Ni Yonghao, while also observing Ni Yongxiao. Third uncle, Yongxiao, this is Alice Corleone. Just call her Alice, she's my girlfriend. Ni Yonghao looked at the two of them and then took Eliza's hand and spoke softly. As soon as the words fell, Ni Yongxiao's pupils froze. Corleone, is he from the family of Eagle Sauce Country? Uncle San's body also shook, and the others were unaware of the Corleone family. But the people in these clubs are very clear that it is a real behemoth. And Ni Yonghao has always been in Eagle Sauce Country, so their guess is probably true. Seeing their expressions, Ni Yonghao knew that they knew Elsa's identity. Yonghao, Big Brother has never wanted you two brothers to interfere in the Ni family's affairs. But now that Big Brother has been killed, the Ni family can only let you two brothers take charge of the overall situation. Uncle San also regained his senses and mentioned that after Ni Kun was killed, a fierce light flashed in his eyes. Well, I found out who killed my father. Uncle, don't worry, none of these people can escape. Ni Yonghao looked at the villa outside and then spoke in a deep voice. Upon hearing this, Uncle San and Ni Yongxiao were both shocked and looked at Ni Yonghao in astonishment. Let's go home first. Ni Yongxiao looked at the blushing third uncle and then spoke in a deep voice. With confusion, anger, and murderous intent, everyone entered the Ni family. Big brother. Yonghao. Ni Yonghao's 2 older sisters and 1 younger brother walked out of the villa. Looking at the spiritual hall in front of him, as well as Ni Kun lying in the coffin, Ni Yonghao respectfully lit a stick of incense. His father was also a hero of his generation, and he didn't expect to die like this. Big sister, take Eliza around for a while. Barney, uncle, come with me. Ni Yonghao glanced at Eliza and then walked towards the study. Eliza nodded, knowing that Ni Yonghao had something to deal with. As soon as a few people walked into the study, 1 person arrived at the villa. P.S. Seeking collection, flowers, monthly tickets. Chapter 3. Han Chen's arrival, cruelty, behind the scenes true murder. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the study, Uncle San and Ni Yongshao were both sitting on the sofa, looking together at Ni Yonghao holding a cigar. Dad is Han Chen's girlfriend, and Mary instructed someone to kill him. Ni Yonghao exhaled thick smoke and then spoke in a deep voice. Han Chen's girlfriend. Uncle Sen widened his eyes. He had thought about many people, but never thought it was Han Chen's girlfriend. And Ni Yongshao's gaze fixed, which was also somewhat unexpected to him. She wants Han Chen to take over, and Huang Zhicheng is also involved in it. As for killing, the wife was a police officer, and those bodyguards were also bribed. Ni Yonghao looked at the shocked expressions of the two and then continued to speak. This slut, and those few dog things. Uncle San suddenly stood up, his eyes filled with murderous intent, and what he disliked the most was the traitor. And there's also Huang Zhicheng, that damn thing. Big brother, did Han Chen participate in it? Ni Yongshao's eyes also flashed with a murderous intent, and then suddenly asked. Because Han Chen's status in the Ni family is not low. Huang Zhicheng gave him a green hat, but he certainly didn't know. Ni Yonghao curved his mouth and then sneered as he spoke. Now I'm going to kill those traitors, so I'll kill that lowly woman. The third uncle gritted his teeth and then hurriedly walked out. Step, step. The door was suddenly pushed open, and a short fat man walked in. Seeing this person, the third uncle couldn't help but be taken aback, because it was clearly Han Chen. Christmas, Yin Yang, go and bring those 4 people over. After seeing Han Chen, Ni Yonghao's face also showed a smile and he spoke softly. As soon as the words fell, Christmas sat on the sofa, and both Yin and Yang followed Uncle San away. Han Chen looked at the people in the room and then turned his gaze to Ni Yonghao. De Xiao. Han Chen took a deep breath and looked respectfully at Ni Yonghao. I don't know why, but he had a bad premonition in his heart. He had never seen Ni Yonghao before, the eldest son of the Ni family. Sit down first. Ni Yonghao flicked his cigarette ash and pointed to the sofa. Han Chen nodded and didn't say much, then sat on the sofa. Soon, Christmas, Yin and Yang arrived with the 4 of them dragging along. The 4 bodyguards were covered in blood and looked very miserable. Shoo, shoo. Uncle San kicked someone and angrily said, I'm going to chop you up and feed the dog. Young and Young, let us have a way out. We were all instructed by that despicable woman, let us go. Several bodyguards knelt on the ground, looking at Ni Yonghao with fear. They didn't expect that what they had done together would be discovered. Now there is only fear in my heart, and I am also afraid of involving my family. Step, step. Ni Yonghao slowly stood up and looked down at the 4 of them. The next moment, screams echoed through the entire study. Ni Yonghao directly lit a cigar on the eyes of one of the bodyguards. The bodyguard covered his eyes and kept rolling on the ground. Seeing this scene, Han Chen's pupils couldn't help but freeze. Click, click. Accompanied by the sound of bones shattering, the bodyguard's right hand was directly crushed. Doctor, you have a great knife technique, you skinned them alive for me. By the way, don't let them die too fast. Yonghao slowly turned his head and then looked at the doctor with a smile. Understood, boss. The surgeon nodded and looked playfully at the 4 bodyguards. But that smile fell into the eyes of the 4, just like a demon. A few people dragged away several bodyguards during Christmas, and soon there were screams outside. "The Shao, is this?" Chen swallowed his saliva and couldn't help but look at Yonghao as he listened to the screams outside. He actually had a guess in his mind. Those 4 people were bribed and then had someone kill my dad. Yonghao patted his clothes and looked at Chen with a deep gaze. The people behind it are your wife and Huang Zhicheng. As soon as the words fell, Chen's body trembled, his pupils contracted, and his face turned pale. Mary instructed those 4 bodyguards to kill his older brother. But why is this? Misunderstanding. Huang Zhicheng is so kind. He gave you a green hat as a gift. Yonghao looked at Chen playfully and then spoke clearly. Chen's pupils widened, he was very intelligent, and he immediately thought of the reason behind it. He believes that Yonghao is not talking nonsense. Huang Zhicheng got involved with his wife and then instructed the 4 bodyguards to kill his older brother. Pop, pop. The Shao. It's not my business at this time, I really don't know. Chen knelt directly on the ground, anxiously looking at Yonghao. I know. If you were also involved, you wouldn't be here now. Yonghao calmly looked at Chen, then lit another cigar. He knew that Chen was loyal to the Ni family at this time. Since that's your wife, let you handle it yourself. Yonghao exhaled thick smoke and then spoke coldly. Yes, big and small. Chen nodded numbly, and the words of Yonghao kept floating in his mind. His wife actually got involved with Huang Zhicheng, that bastard. What is the situation with the Ni family now? Yonghao sat on the sofa and then looked at Yonghao. Since my father's death, other clubs have annexed a lot of the Ni family's territory. And Gandhi and the others also had a strange heart. The Ni family's business has shrunk by half. Yonghao spoke with a bitter smile, saying that once his father died, those people couldn't sit still. Billy, go get rid of those 4 old guys. Yonghao nodded and then looked at Billy, who had been silent all along. Billy is a sniper, and it's as simple as killing the 4 Gandhi people. Boss, I need a sniper rifle. Billy nodded and then spoke softly. Yonghao nodded, but Tony gave him a batch of weapons. And he also has systems, weapons, and all of these are incredibly simple. Wait until those 4 old guys die, then accept the territory of the 4 major families. After consolidating the territory, then take action against other clubs. Yonghao, in half a month, I want Sim Sha Sui to be all the same. Yonghao's gaze narrowed slightly before speaking in a deep voice. Yonghao was slightly taken aback, hesitated for a moment, and finally nodded. Nowadays, small clubs are planting flags in Sim Sha Sui. However, even for small clubs, it's not easy to achieve unity within half a month. I will give you a group of people and weapons. Yonghao also noticed his expression and spoke in a deep voice. As soon as the words fell, except for Barney and a few others, the other 3 were all stunned. Chen gave Yonghao a deep glance and then lowered his head. The entire Ni family is not simple. What exactly did they do abroad? Because Barney and the others are very similar to those mercenaries. Yonghao, Huang Zhicheng, that bastard, and the killer of Big Brother. Uncle took a long breath and immediately thought of 2 more culprits. They can't escape, let him live for 2 days first. Yonghao gave a cold smile, and Huang Zhicheng was not a good person. Chapter 4. Amazing Arms, Arcade, Preparing to Establish. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In a remote warehouse, Ni Yonghao and Uncle San glanced around and felt very curious. Because yesterday Ni Yonghao asked them to build a warehouse, and in one night, someone brought in the weapons. Ni Yonghao looked at the nearby warehouse and calmly placed the weapons in the space. The warehouse door opened and saw wooden boxes stacked together. Ni Yongxiao's eyes showed surprise, and he really managed to handle it overnight. He is really a big brother with great powers, and there are still many people behind the scenes. Several people eagerly pried open a wooden box during Christmas. Inside were long guns that were dark and emitting cold light. M16, caliber 5.56 by 45 mm, effective range 600-800 m. Christmas picked up the black spear and smiled as he spoke. The M16 is the most common rifle, although its power is average, it has a fast firing rate and stability. August, AK-47, MP9 Micro Sound Submachine Gun, P90. Yang and others also pried open the boxes one by one, looking at the guns inside with smiles on their faces. Guns are their companions, and they are also their most trusted companions. Barrett, SSG.69. Billy held Barrett in his hand, his eyes showing surprise. More than 30 boxes, in addition to firearms, also include tactical equipment such as grenades and bulletproof vests. And both Ni Yonghao and San Shu couldn't help but take a deep breath. So many weapons, including sniper rifles, submachine guns, rifles, and heavy weapons, are all complete. Is this preparing to start a war? Especially Hale, holding a Gatling at this moment, made their scalp tingle. Although Hong Kong Island clubs also use weapons, they are all handguns. Ni Yonghao was also somewhat surprised. He didn't expect Tony to be so generous. Because when this batch of weapons was delivered to the port, he did not open it. Click, click. Christmas was joyfully held by everyone, with various firearms waving around. Everyone is selecting their own equipment and putting it in the box they have brought. Big brother, if you use a gun casually, it will cause a big deal. Ni Yonghao looked at the Christmas group with a bitter smile and then spoke in a deep voice. Guns are rarely used in club competitions. Once a gun is used, it's a big problem, that's the secret rule. His big brother is going to open Pandora's magic box. Who set the rules? I tell you, my rules are rules. Ni Yonghao gave a cold smile. Now that Hong Kong Island is under the control of ghosts, it's best to cause a big problem. As soon as the words fell, Christmas and Yin Yang couldn't help but whistle. Upon hearing this, Ni Yongxiao's body was stunned and could only show a bitter smile. As long as you're not caught, that's a small problem. Without evidence, it's useless to say anything. Hong Kong Island is a legal society. Unfortunately, there are no helicopters. Barney just took 2 pistols and shook his head with a smile. Upon hearing his words, Ni Yonghao and Uncle San's lips twitched. Helicopters, you're really preparing to start a war. Helicopters are all minor issues. I'll give you a woozy as soon as possible. Ni Yonghao smiled as the system was full of everything. Yonghao helped me register a security company and an investment company. Ni Yonghao had a sudden inspiration and then suddenly spoke up. Looking at the ledger in his hand, Ni Yonghao shook his head helplessly. Most of the Ni family's income came from laundry detergent. Now the Ni family has 3 villas worth approximately 20 million yuan, with over 280 million yuan in cash. More than 280 million may sound like a lot, but it should be noted that this is the accumulation of the Ni family for decades. And for things like laundry detergent, the money comes the fastest. By the way, the Ni family is not allowed to touch laundry detergent again in the future. Ni Yonghao put down the ledger in his hand and looked at the few people with a serious expression. As soon as the words fell, both Uncle San and Ni Yongxiao's faces changed. If you don't touch laundry detergent, where do you get money from? Moreover, The Ni family still has a group of people under their command. They don't have any money, but no one can bird you. You can do anything with weapons, but you can't do laundry detergent. Ni Yonghao lit a cigar, exhaled thick smoke, and then spoke in a deep voice. If he wants to make money, it's really as simple as that. What method in this world can make money quickly? It must be weapons. As long as there are guns and cannons, if we open up sales, we are not afraid of having no money. And with the system, it's not difficult for him to establish a military factory. Arms. Upon hearing Ni Yonghao's words, both of them took a deep breath. Arms are the most profitable industry. But it's not something ordinary people can do. Especially Ni Yongshao, he just saw that batch of weapons. I couldn't help but brainstorm some things. It seems that his older brother is not idle in eagle sauce either. But that's also true. If it were an ordinary person, they wouldn't know the Corleone family. And he also abducted a woman from the Corleone family. Yonghao, if you really want to give up laundry detergent, those people under your command may have objections. Uncle pinched a black cigarette and looked at Ni Yonghao surrounded by smoke, then said with a bitter smile. If you don't want to stay at the Ni family, then get lost. Ni Yonghao didn't rest assured, just some short mules. With money, he could easily recruit. He is not a great philanthropist, but after all, Hong Kong Island is a part of our motherland, and he does not want to become a criminal. I agree with my brother's opinion. If there is a good way, then don't touch laundry detergent. Ni Yongshao lifted his glasses and then spoke in a deep voice. But soon there was another question, which was where to establish a military factory. It is definitely impossible for Hong Kong Island, after all, Ni Wingho is not just making a fuss. The Golden Triangle, it's a free no matter area. It's as simple as finding a piece of land there. And there are many warlords and drug lords at Jinshanjiao, but they have stable customers. Ni Yonghao pondered for a moment before speaking in a low voice. He had thought about this issue before he came back. The Golden Triangle is quite suitable. Ni Yongshao nodded. The place was basically unattended, and there were forests everywhere. Besides the military supplies, Yongshao, you will go and purchase 2 factories tomorrow. Used to make BB consoles, as well as game consoles. Just recruit some ordinary employees, I will arrange technical personnel. Ni Yonghao glanced at the system mall and then ordered again. BB consoles and game consoles are also very profitable. As for the technical personnel, he can buy directly from the system, as long as he has money. Got it, big brother. Ni Yongshao was slightly taken aback, but still nodded, knowing that his elder brother must be involved in legitimate business. At the same time, he was also very curious about what his older brother had done after going abroad for 5 years. There are all kinds of things, it seems like I have come into contact with everything. But now he has to be busy, registering a company, acquiring factories, and cleaning up Tsim Sha Sui. Chapter 5. One shot blows the head, Expendables take action, 4. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In a villa, Chen sat on the sofa with a gloomy expression. Today, he had someone investigate his wife's situation. There is no impermeable wall in the world, and if you have the heart to check, it is still easy to find. Ni Yonghao is right, his wife does have an affair with Huang Zhicheng. Click, click. The door was opened, and Mary looked at the dim light and couldn't help but wonder at Chen. Touch, touch. Before Mary could speak, Chen threw 2 CDs on the table to her. Darling, what's wrong? Looking at the CD on the ground, Mary's heart skipped a beat and she anxiously walked towards Chen. The atmosphere in the entire living room was very oppressive, especially Chen's expression, which made her feel a bit uneasy. That's really nice. I didn't expect you to have someone kill Big Brother. And he also got mixed up with Huang Zhicheng's dog and gave me a big green hat. Chen shook Mary's hand and slowly stood up, with a cold voice echoing through the living room. He could no longer suppress his anger, and the CD was a famous scene of two dog men and women. As soon as the words fell, Mary's body trembled and she looked at Chen in fear and panic. It was discovered, and it was still discovered by her husband. Mary's body was trembling, her face turned pale, and she wanted to defend herself but didn't know what to say. For whatever reason, she is indeed entangled with Huang Zhicheng. Although she was coerced, having someone assassinate Ni Kun was selfish. She wants Chen to take over, and only Ni Kun's death is possible. Because her husband is loyal to Ni Kun, that old guy can't survive for a day. Chen walked step by step towards Mary, his eyes turning red, and suddenly hugged her. Pop, pop. Blood spurted out, and Mary's body trembled as she stabbed a knife into her abdomen. It's better to die in my hands than in Ni Yonghao's hands. Chen slowly lifted his head in his right hand, stained with blood, gently caressed Mary's cheek. At least he doesn't have to be tortured to die in his hands. But if he doesn't solve Mary today, Ni Yonghao won't let her go either. Not only Mary will die, but even he will die. Upon hearing this, Mary nodded, with a look of sadness on her face. Chen placed Mary on the sofa, looking somewhat bewildered and in pain. Soon, hatred occupied his mind, Huang Zhicheng. This dog must die, but he knows that Ni Yonghao will not let him go. Ni Yonghao left a deep impression on him, ruthless, and mysterious. Looking at the body on the sofa, Chen took a deep breath and it was time to go to Ni's house. Across from Yuzu City, Billy is lying on the roof, holding a sniper rifle. Quickly, a few people walked out from across from Yuzu City, led by a middle-aged man. After seeing this person, Billy curved his mouth and placed his right hand on the trigger. Because this person is his target, nigger. The black ghost had a red face and was still holding a cigarette in his mouth. Just as he was about to get on the car, his body suddenly shook. The next moment, his head splattered with blood, and a bullet pierced through his eyebrows. Amidst the frightened gazes of several younger brothers, the whole person fell to the ground. Big brother. One of the younger brothers reacted and looked at the black ghost with wide-open eyes in terror. And Billy on the rooftop saw the target being shot, put away his sniper rifle, and quickly left. Because he needs to kill another person. At the same time, in a villa, with the help of darkness, Yin and Yang climbed over the wall. Looking at the two little brothers chatting in front of the door, he bent over and slowly approached. Click, click. Yin and Yang twisted one person's neck directly, then quickly pulled out the dagger from their waist and slashed it towards the other person's neck. Blood splattered out, and the other person widened their eyes, looking at Yin and Yang in fear. All of this happened between lightning and flint. After placing the two corpses, Yin and Yang attacked the villa all the way. After quietly killing 6 people along the way, I arrived outside a room. Listening to the sound inside, Yin and Yang gently shook their heads. Can this be considered as being under the peony flower? Being a ghost to death is also charming. Yin and Yang took out a silencing pistol from their arms and pushed open the door directly. In the room, a man and a woman were engaged in a fierce battle. After hearing the strange noise, a middle-aged man turned his head and his pupils suddenly froze. The woman's body also trembled, looking at Yin and Yang in terror. Yin Yang held a pistol and aimed it at Guohua, causing a killing intent to envelop the entire room. Who the hell are you? Don't kill me, I can give you money, 1 million. No, 10 million. Guohua pushed away the woman, cold sweat streaming down her forehead, but she couldn't help but speak. When speaking, he slowly moved towards the head of the bed. Because there is a handgun by his bedside, and he also wants people from outside to come in. Shoo, shoo. Yin Yang gently shook his head, then pulled the trigger directly, and the bullet shot out with a loud bang. Guohua's body trembled, and a blood hole appeared in his eyebrows. He didn't even know who was going to kill him. "Leave me alone, it has nothing to do with me." The woman saw the fallen Guohua and knelt directly on the ground, her body constantly trembling. Yin and Yang exhaled a mouthful of turbid qi, gently shook their head, and then pulled the trigger. He doesn't want to implicate the innocent, but this woman has already seen his appearance. Seeing the two people lying in a pool of blood, Yin and Yang looked at the room and then turned around and left directly. Not only Guohua, but also the two black ghosts were killed. Gandhi and Wenzheng also died tragically. Gandhi died in the hands of Christmas. This guy is the simplest and most straightforward. Directly entered a nightclub alone and killed Gandhi in the restroom. And the doctor also infiltrated Wenzheng's home, killed a group of little brothers, and ultimately killed Wenzheng. Overnight, the 4 major families were expelled, while Yonghao had been waiting. Then he directly led his people towards the territory of the 4 major families. Although Gandhi and his companions have died, they must have loyal subordinates who have been around for so many years. Chapter 6. The Vigilance of Major Societies, Huang Zhicheng does not. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. On the day when the color turned white, Yonghao and his third uncle returned to the villa and saw Yonghao and Eliza eating breakfast together. Apart from the two people, they also saw another person, which was Chen. Got it done. Yonghao put down his knife and fork and smiled as he watched the two people walking towards him. Well, except for a few subordinates, no one else resisted. Yonghao sat on the chair, picked up a panel, and nodded. Mainly counting the 4 people's belongings, these things wasted some time. Uncle San's face also showed a happy expression, and he finally tidied up those 4 guys. Without the 4 major families, the Ni family would only be better, and this time it was also a great achievement. Gandhi and his companions have made a lot of profit over the years. Just cash alone adds up to over 60 million yuan, and there are also nightclubs that Chen remained silent. As the chief steward of the Ni family, he also knew the actions of Yonghao and his companions. This young master is really ruthless. He will take down the 4 major families as soon as he comes back. If I don't kill Mary myself, I probably won't survive tomorrow either. What are the powerful clubs in Sim Sha Sui now? Yonghao took the cigar handed over by Eliza and asked softly. Most of them are flag planting, and there are also many areas with 1 or 2 streets. The more powerful ones should be loyalty, trustworthiness, Changle, and Xingsha. Yonghao pondered for a moment before speaking in a deep voice. The strongest among them is loyalty, trustworthiness, and righteousness. Zhong Sini, like the Ni family, specializes in laundry detergent and has the support of a big boss behind it. Chen nodded in agreement and then took the conversation to speak. Lian Haolong is not a simple character, claiming to be the strongest in Sim Sha Sui. Laundry powder is already a lucrative industry, with loyalty, trustworthiness, and wealth, its strength is naturally not inferior. Moreover, loyalty, faithfulness, and righteousness do not have much territory. As for hexing society, it was only after Ni Kuan's death that Wang Baotuan invaded many territories of the Ni family, and his strength grew stronger. Tomorrow, gather your subordinates and first handle and revitalize the society. Coincidentally, my group of people is also arriving tonight. Yonghao tapped his fingers on the table and then spoke up. Since that's the case, let's start with Wang Bao, first deal with the 3 strongest ones, and then deal with those small clubs. Big brother, are you going too? Yonghao nodded and suddenly looked at his older brother in surprise. At this moment, Gao Jin also walked over and naturally heard the conversation between the few people. He knows that Yonghao's strength is not weak, at least stronger than him. Well, go join in the fun. Yonghao nodded. In his past life, besides being a financial giant, he was also proficient in Chinese martial arts. Traveling through this world, besides sparring with Gao Jin, I have never had any interaction with anyone else. But when Uncle San heard his words, he became anxious. The club fighting knife doesn't have long eyes. And now the Ni family relies on two brothers to support themselves, and no one can cause any trouble. If something really happens, then he's really sorry for losing his big brother. But when he thought of Ni Yonghao's temperament, he shook his head with a bitter smile. Please instruct Gao Jin and others to protect Ni Yonghao well. Quickly, Yin and Yang, Barney and the others walked down the stairs. As for the others who stayed up all night and have been fooling around outside, Ni Yonghao is not worried about them getting into trouble. Serious case team. The four major families' words caused a tragic death overnight, and the Ni family happened to take action. It seems that it was done by Ni Yonghao from Hong Kong Island just now. Lu Zhicheng took a deep breath and stared closely at Ni Yonghao's photo. After Ni Kuan's death, the Ni family returned with a more ruthless character. The most crucial thing is whether the nigger was shot in the head with a sniper rifle. Ni Yonghao's information is very simple, he is just a top student who went abroad 5 years ago. Obviously, it was done with the group of people who came back with him. Huang Zhicheng's face was a bit gloomy because Mary had never been able to contact him. I don't know why, but he has a bad feeling in his heart. I thought that if Ni Kuan was eradicated, the Ni family would collapse. Unexpectedly, a Ni Yongshao has returned, and now another Ni Yonghao has returned. These two brothers are getting more and more troublesome. Overnight, he eradicated the four major families, and it is obvious that Ni Yonghao is a ruthless leader. Even if it is known that Ni Yonghao instructed people to do it, it is useless without evidence. Let someone catch him and he can turn around and leave. Although the Ni family has been robbed of a lot of territory by other clubs. But after Gandhi and others died, the Ni family actually grew stronger. It seems we need to meet these two brothers from the Ni family. Huang Zhicheng slowly stood up and looked coldly at the photos of Ni Yonghao and Ni Yongshao on the blackboard. He had a premonition that Ni Yonghao would make a big move when he returned to Hong Kong Island this time. By the way, let the guys keep an eye on these two brothers. Huang Zhicheng suddenly turned his head and looked at Lu Zhicheng on the side. He is determined to eradicate the Ni family, so he doesn't want it to stand up. Lu Zhicheng nodded. Ni Yonghao was so ruthless and decisive in his actions, so he probably wouldn't let go of the club that attacked the Ni family. The next step is probably to take action against other clubs in Tsim Sha Sui, and the most likely one is Hexing Society. Who let Wang Bao seize the most territory of the Ni family. The news of the four Gandhi people being killed quickly spread throughout Tsim Sha Sui, and major clubs received the news. All the major clubs became vigilant, and the young Ni family returned to Hong Kong Island. The major clubs had long known about it and had never taken it seriously, thinking it was a bookworm. But annihilating the four major families overnight is not something that bookworms can do. Chapter 7. Hands-on, Sweeping and Revitalizing Society, Wang Bao's. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The night arrived, but the villa was filled with solemnity, and Uncle Ni Yongshao and the others stared wide-eyed. Men in suits, no more or no less, exactly 100 people. Good guy, he's all wearing black suits, he doesn't seem like a member of the club at all. On the contrary, it looks like a well-trained soldier, and this temperament alone cannot be compared to those short mules. Uncle San, please arrange for them. Ni Yonghao nodded in satisfaction, although there were not many people, it was enough. Any one of these people can handle a few ordinary people without any problem. The people summoned by the system may have their own thoughts, but they are absolutely loyal. Uncle San nodded and then left with a group of people. And Gao Jin, Yin Yang, and others were all closely watching the man who was limping and walking. Master, this is a true master, especially with that gaze. This guy looks at them as if he's looking at prey. And Feng Yuxiu was also observing Gao Jin, Yin Yang, and others. Suddenly, the atmosphere around became suppressed, as if it was about to explode. Let's have a sparring. Gao Jin slowly stood up, his gaze fixed on Feng Yuxiu. You. Not my opponent. Feng Yuxiu glanced at Gao Jin, his eyes flashing with a cold light, and finally shook his head. He could tell that Gao Jin's skills were good, but they were only good. As soon as the words fell, Gao Jin suddenly moved, stepped on his left foot, jumped up, and pulled his right foot over. The sound pierced through the air, and the whip leg went straight towards Feng Yuxiu's head. Feng Yuxiu's gaze turned cold, and his right hand blocked in front of him. Their eyes collided, and in the next moment, Feng Yuxiu's right hand suddenly protruded. The speed is very fast, and you can only see the afterimage, straight down your throat. Gao Jin propped his hand on the ground and kicked towards Feng Yuxiu with both feet. Feng Yuxiu moved his body lightly and then kicked it over. Boom, boom. Everyone only felt a flash in front of them and saw Gao Jin being kicked out. After stabilizing his body, Gao Jin looked at Feng Yuxiu with a heavy expression on his face. Although he covered his foot with both hands, his hands are still numb now. All right. Seeing the two of them still wanting to take action, Yonghao had to shout out to stop. Feng Yuxiu doesn't know how to compete, it's really a matter of life and death. And if we really want to fight, Gao Jin is not a match for Feng Yuxiu. This guy is a true martial arts master, proficient in the martial arts of various sections. Summoning one Feng Yuxiu for 10 million is not expensive. Yin and Yang, what is the percentage? Christmas took a look at Feng Yuxiu and then whispered to the nearby Yin and Yang. Casually. Yin and Yang pondered for a moment, then said calmly. As soon as the words fell, Barney and others looked at him with strange expressions, careless. All of them are proficient in combat, and in terms of martial arts, they are not considered opponents of Feng Yuxiu. He's 9, I'm 1. That's it, right? Yin Yang looked at the crowd helplessly and then shook his head gently. He had a sparring with Gao Jin, and it was considered a tie. Although the two had a brief confrontation just now, it was evident that Feng Yuxiu was terrifying. Everyone burst out with a strange laugh. After all, among the few, the fighting between Yin and Yang is the most powerful. But what they are truly powerful about is firearms, not fists and kicks. And Feng Yuxiu glanced at the few people, with a grimace on his lips. Tsim Sha Sui is also one of the concentrated areas of nightlife on Hong Kong Island, with bars and nightclubs lined up. On the brightly lit streets, vans suddenly arrive one after another. And upon seeing this scene, everyone on the street quickly walked away, knowing without hesitation that they were members of the club. This is not the first time I have seen such a scene, and now Hong Kong Island is very chaotic. Sure enough, soon the van came down with members of the club holding machetes and clubs. The people who cut through and revitalized the society. The leader took a deep breath with long hair, then waved his hand and rushed towards the nightclub and bar with a group of short mules. Because now the entire street is covered by Xingsha. Damn it, someone is causing trouble. Hurry up and call someone. Watching a group of people from the Ni family rush over, the young man in front of the nightclub swallowed his saliva and let out a scream of surprise. The screams echoed throughout the street, and Hexing Society was already prepared, but still underestimated the Ni family. Soon, the audience of Hexing Society was cut down. A scene like this happened everywhere in Tsim Sha Sui, along several streets occupied by Hexing Society, and the Ni family all took action. In another place, a tiger-headed car stopped on the street, and Yonghao sat in the car, smiling as he looked at the nearby street. Soon, Gao Jin and Feng Yuxiu led a group of people into the street. Because this street is undoubtedly the headquarters of Hexing Society, and all the short mules on the street are from Hexing Society. Even the police don't dare to come at night, because Wang Bao said that after 12 o'clock, he had the final say in this street. Seeing the dark crowd of people, the 4 or 9 young men and short mules on the streets and Xingsha also came to their senses and shouted loudly. The next moment, countless short mules surged out from all over the street, and both sides immediately fought against each other. This scene. The Christmas in the car excitedly watched the fight not far away, with hundreds or even thousands of people fighting. This scene is rare to see. Feng Yuxiu looked at the short mule chopping towards him with a machete, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He punched him in the throat. The person's body trembled and spewed out a mouthful of fresh blood. The tiger entered the wolf pack, and Feng Yuxiu rushed into the crowd. His attacks were very fierce, and his moves were deadly. No one could stop him at all. The 100 people summoned by Yonghao were equally fierce and fearless of death, and they would chop at anyone they saw. Wang Bao. Yonghao's eyebrows suddenly raised and his gaze turned to the muscular middle-aged man walking out in the distance. And behind him was a white-haired assassin named Aji, a fierce character. Family. Wang Bao looked at the battle in the field with a gloomy expression. Where did the family find these people in suits? These people are not at all like members of a club, and there are constantly people dying tragically in their hands. Their combat power is amazing. This is the headquarters of Hexing Society, with people constantly pouring out from all directions. There are too many people than the family. But even so, Hexing Society surprisingly did not benefit. Chapter 8. Killer Aji, blood-bathing god of war bestowed upon Shou. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The howls and screams echoed through the entire street, and many short mules from Hexing Society began to retreat. Those in suits are too fierce, as if they have no perception, fearless of death. Even with a few knives in his body, he still holds a long sword and chops at people. They are indeed gangsters, but they are not working hard. Most of them are just making a living. Aji. Wang Bao's face became even more gloomy when he saw this scene, and he spoke coldly. Others can withdraw, but he alone cannot. Once this retreat occurs, it is equivalent to handing over the territory to the family. And just now he also knew that the family had someone take action elsewhere. As soon as the words fell, Aji's gaze fixed, he stepped on one foot, and then rushed out directly. With a few archery steps, he approached a suit veteran, and at the same time, a short knife appeared in his hand. Bang, bang. The flames splattered everywhere, and the old soldier's body trembled. He blocked Aji's knife and raised his hand to wield a machete to strike. Aji grabbed the knife with his back hand to block it, and sparks flashed through his eyes with a cold gleam towards the veteran's throat. Blood spurted out, his throat slashed open, and the old soldier's eyes widened. Aji curved his mouth and raised his hand twice. Shush, shush. At this moment, a fierce wind suddenly came from the front, and Aji's pupils shrank and his fists went straight out. A figure fell to the ground, and Gao Jin looked coldly at Aji, who was forced to retreat. After stabilizing his body, Aji gestured a few times and looked at Gao Jin with a serious expression. This guy is a master, and he just noticed Gao Jin. Their eyes were colliding, and in the next moment, both of them coincidentally rushed towards each other. And just as the two were fighting, Feng Yuxiu was slaughtering the short mules of Hexing Society. No one can stop him at all, and at this moment, his whole body is covered in blood. Devil. A short mule stepped back a few steps, looking at Feng Yuxiu with a fearful expression. As long as anyone approaches this cripple, they all fall to the ground now, either dead or disabled. Feng Yuxiu glanced at the entire audience, glanced at Aji and Gao Jin, and soon his gaze was fixed on them. He saw Wang Bao not far away, didn't even think about it, and then rushed over directly. Wang Bao, who had been staring at Feng Yuxiu all along, saw the other person approaching him with a cold gaze. He kept watching and naturally knew how terrifying this guy was. The most crucial thing is that this guy's moves are ruthless and deadly. He doesn't know where the Ni family came from to find so many experts. However, despite knowing that Feng Yuxiu was very strong, he was not afraid as the leader of Hexing Society. Escape. In his eyes, there is no escape, and he may not necessarily lose. Both of them walked towards each other step by step, and Wang Bao also took off his suit. In terms of physique, neither of the two conferred titles can compare to Wang Bao. Sir Ma, who do you think will win between the two? Not far from Ni Yonghao's parking, another plane pulled up and a middle-aged man asked in a deep voice. There were a total of 5 people in the car, and the speaker was none other than retired Senior Inspector Chen Guizhong. The other few people are all members of the serious case team, and the burly man is Ma Jun. Chen Guizhong and others swore to eradicate Wang Bao. I was supposed to take action tonight, but I didn't expect to receive news that the Ni family is taking action against Hexing Society. As for Ma Jun, he was not at ease with Chen Guizhong and insisted on following the car. Wang Bao is not a match for that person. Watching the two people fighting in the field, Ma Jun took a deep breath and then spoke in a deep voice. Those people wearing suits don't seem like members of the club. Li Weil frowned tightly and stared closely at the people in suits. Although there are more people in Hexing Society now than in the Ni family, the situation has declined. And these people are very ruthless, cruel to the enemy, and also cruel to themselves. Like a warrior, fearless of death. Ma Jun nodded and suddenly turned his gaze to the nearby tiger head running towards the smoke floating out of the car. Escape, these are all monsters. A short mule couldn't hold back any longer, enduring the pain on his body, and then ran towards the back. These people in suits are monsters. Even after their arms are chopped off, they still hold a knife and are chopping people, and their faces remain unchanged. This exclamation completely ignited the fear in everyone's hearts, and many people desperately fled in all directions. To truly promote harmony and prosperity, Wang Baozhong has very little loyalty. Most people join clubs for the sake of prestige and just to make a living. Okay, Wang Bao is finally finished. Watching the people of Hexing Society flee around, Lu Guanhua excitedly spoke up, with a flushed expression on his face. Except for a few dozen people resisting, everyone else fled. Boom, boom. Just as he was speaking, Wang Bao was also kicked and fell to the ground by Feng Yuxiu. Just as he was about to stand up, a fierce whip came down his leg. Wang Bao's right hand was blocking his head, and he only heard the sound of bones breaking, his head directly hitting the ground. The blood blurred his eyes, only then did he notice that except for Aji fighting against Gao Jin, the others either fled or died tragically in the hands of the Ni family. Feng Yuxiu kicked Wang Bao on the abdomen, and his over 200-pound body was kicked several meters away. This kick directly hit Wang Bao's stomach, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Feng Yuxiu's gaze swept across the room and soon fell on Aji and Gao Jin. Aji was forced to retreat by Gao Jin's foot, and after stabilizing his body, he looked around at the men in suits and Wang Bao on the ground, and directly threw down his short knife. I didn't expect my elder brother, known as the twin dragons of Tsim Sha Sui, to lose so quickly. Wang Bao and Lian Haolong are known as the Tsim Sha Sui twin dragons. However, it can also be seen from this that the terror of Feng Yuxiu is not inferior to Wang Bao's strength. Watching Aji's movements, Gao Jin couldn't help but be taken aback and couldn't help but look towards the tiger's head. Kid, come with me later. Looking at Ni Yonghao's gesture, Gao Jin turned his head and looked coldly at Aji. Aji glanced in the direction of the tiger's head and then spread out his hand. Wang Bao collapsed, and his resistance had only one outcome. And a group of subordinates from the Ni family looked in awe at Feng Yuxiu and others, and the young master didn't know where to find these people. If it weren't for these people, the outcome would be difficult to say. P.S. Seeking collection, flowers. Chapter 9. Cold hair rises up, the solemnity of the horse army, Ah. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Seeing Wang Bao lying on the ground, Chen and others exchanged a glance, showing signs of enduring humiliation. After all, if we wait for them to take action, none of them are confident that they can fully retreat. Click, click. Ma Jun suddenly pushed open the car door and ran straight towards the nearby tiger head. Upon seeing this scene, Chen Guizhong frowned and quickly followed suit. He is also an old police officer, so he naturally noticed that the tiger had already run away. And I also guessed that the person sitting inside was from the Ni family. He doesn't like people from any club, but he's afraid of Ma Jun's impulsiveness. Boss, someone is charging towards us. Christmas looked at the approaching Ma Jun and his companions, and his right hand involuntarily reached towards his waist. And Ni Yonghao shook his head gently, because he also recognized Ma Jun and his companions. Quickly, Ma Jun approached the car and took out his identification documents, staring directly at the few people inside. And Ni Yonghao looked at Ma Jun with great interest, holding a cigar in one hand. Ni Yonghao. Ma Jun looked at the few people inside the car and his gaze fell on Ni Yonghao. Chen Guizhong and others who rushed over were all stunned, looking at Ni Yonghao in surprise. Is this the young master of the Ni family who just returned to China? Sir, what's up? Ni Yonghao flicked his cigarette ash and then opened his mouth with a smile. Please get off the car and take the investigation. After collecting his documents, Ma Jun glanced at the Christmas group and then spoke in a deep voice. As soon as the words fell, the eyes of the Christmas group flickered, and their eyes became dangerous. As long as Ni Yonghao makes a sound, they will immediately take action. As for the other party's identity, they don't care. And I also have confidence that I can quickly kill a few members of the Ma army. Sir, what if I say no? Ni Yonghao looked at Ma Jun playfully, while also looking behind a few people. Chen Guizhong and others quickly turned their heads, pulled out their pistols from their waist, and nervously looked at Feng Yuxiu and others who were not far away. Because at some point, that group of people all looked at them together. Especially those dozens of black-clad men, the sense of oppression they felt was very strong. And just now they saw with their own eyes how terrifying these guys are. They believe that as long as Ni Yonghao gives a command, these people will definitely rush forward. These guys are not even afraid of death, let alone being police officers. Watching Ni Yonghao's expression, Ma Jun's pupils froze and his right hand rested on the gun. Sir, if I were you, it would be best not to move. A person who doesn't know how to stand up to others won't have a good ending. Seeing Ma Jun's movements, Ni Yonghao gently shook his head. As soon as the words fell, Ma Jun's body froze and his expression stiffened as he looked into the distance. On the rooftop of a room on the opposite road, a blurry figure slowly stood up. But what really shocked him was that the person was aiming a gun here. If that's right, the person is holding a sniper rifle. Looking at Ni Yonghao's appearance, Ma Jun put down his hand and surprisingly arranged for a sniper. Chen Guizhong and others also took a deep breath. Alan, drive. Ni Yonghao chuckled softly, threw away his cigar, and then spoke softly. After Hu Tu ran away, Gao Jin also left with a group of Ni family members. And not long after the Ni family left, the police arrived slowly. I thought you would force it. After Chen Guizhong put away his gun, he looked at Ma Jun and then smiled and spoke up. Do you think I'm stupid? Ma Jun rolled his eyes. He was impulsive, but not reckless. Even if the other party doesn't have a sniper, he still can't do anything about Ni Yonghao. Just now, I wanted to invite the other person to get off the car, but those people in the car all showed a murderous aura. And those guys all have bulging waists, all carrying them. Those few people don't seem to be members of the club. Uncle Hua hesitated for a moment, and the image of the Christmas group came to mind. Well, there's a smell of gunpowder all over me, probably from a military background. Even if he doesn't die, he's still a mercenary. Ma Jun nodded and his face became heavy, as if he needed someone to investigate Yonghao. This guy is a ruthless character. He eradicated the 4 major families and hexing society as soon as he returned to Hong Kong Island. It seems that Tsim Sha Sui is going to be bustling. After tonight, other clubs won't be able to sit still. Ale looked at the short mule lying on the ground not far away and shook his head with emotion. After returning to the villa, Eliza breathed a long sigh of relief when she saw that Yonghao was not injured. Yonghao shook his head helplessly, realizing that Ma Jun and others were there, so he didn't take action. He won't leave any leverage for anyone to catch, nor will he put himself in danger. An hour later, Yonghao, third uncle, and Chen all returned together. Big brother, we have all successfully taken Wang Bao's territory. Yonghao took a sip of water and then sat directly on the sofa. De Xiao, a total of over 80 people were lost this time, and more than 30 of your group of people also died. Chen took a deep breath and was also very surprised in his heart. He didn't expect to easily win the hexing society. These were still chopped to death, and there were countless injured ones. Both sides have deployed thousands of people this time, and the cost of aftermath alone is not a small amount. However, compared to the gains, this loss is still worth it. Wang Bao has a few streets. Even if the Ni family doesn't make laundry detergent now, they still have a lot of money every month just for nightclubs, bars, and protection fees. Tsim Sha Sui is one of the busiest places on Hong Kong Island. More than 30 people, that's 3 million, which is quite reasonable. This amount is less than he thought, and he thought he would lose half of his manpower this time. And the third uncle looked at the 2 brothers Yonghao with a pleased expression on his face. He wanted to see the Ni family grow stronger in his lifetime. Just as everyone was speaking, Gao Jin and Feng Yuxiu walked in with Aji. And Yin and Yang, among others, all turned their attention to Aji. This guy's ability to compete with Gao Jin for such a long time is not inferior. Aji glanced at the crowd in the hall and soon his gaze fixed on Yonghao. Chapter 10. Huang Zhicheng visits the door, heartless and fierce. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The news of the collapse of hexing society overnight and the tragic death of Wang Bao quickly spread throughout the underground world of Hong Kong Island. Other places are fine, although shocked, there isn't much worry. But loyalty and righteousness, Changle is a shock, especially the latter, which can be more powerful than Changle in Tsim Sha Sui and Xingsha. It seems that everyone has underestimated Yonghao. Lian Haolong took a deep breath and then condensed his voice to speak. Yesterday, 4 Gandhi people were killed, and he also heard that the Ni family abandoned their laundry detergent business. After learning this news, many people in Zhongxinyi felt that Yonghao was foolish in reading. Now it seems that it's not that Yonghao is foolish, but rather that his plan is very big. Even saying that the other party simply doesn't value the laundry detergent business, or that there are more ways to make money. I heard that Wang Bao was beaten to death by a cripple. Lian Haodong's face was a bit awkward because he was the one who said Yonghao was a fool. But he didn't expect that the bookworm in his mouth would be so ruthless. Xingsha was destroyed overnight, and even Wang Bao couldn't escape a disaster. He can underestimate others, but he dare not underestimate Wang Bao. Now that they have accepted the territory of hexing society, the Ni family has become the largest club in Tsim Sha Sui. Dressed up like a killer, Luo Tianhong's eyes flashed with a glimmer of brilliance. A cripple could actually kill Wang Bao, which made him very curious. How did the Ni family easily destroy hexing society? Lian Haolong suddenly looked at Luo Dingfa, feeling a bit strange. Even if Wang Bao didn't guard against the Ni family, it wouldn't be easy for hexing society to be destroyed like this. He knew that hexing society was destroyed and Wang Bao was killed, but he didn't know the specific details. It's hard to say even during the peak period of the Ni family, let alone now. I heard there is a group of people wearing suits, each capable of blocking 10. Now the group of people is being discussed everywhere in Sim Sha Sui. It is said that Yonghao brought it back from abroad. Luo Dingfa quickly spoke up, feeling that some facts were somewhat exaggerated. However, it can be certain that those people were brought back by Yonghao from abroad. Upon hearing this, Lian Haolong frowned. If that's the case, then the young master of the Ni family is not as simple as studying abroad. Yes, big brother, I've heard about it too, and the nigger was shot in the head by a sniper rifle. Even Haodong nodded, and now it has been widely spread on the road that the Black Ghost was shot in the head by a sniper rifle several hundred meters away. Don't worry about the Ni family's affairs for now, the batch of goods will arrive the day after tomorrow. Recently, the bad guys have been keeping a close eye on us. Be careful when it comes to trading. Lian Haolong stopped thinking about the Ni family and looked at everyone with a serious expression. As long as the Ni family does not provoke loyalty, he is too lazy to meddle in the Ni family's affairs. After all, Zongxinyi specializes in the business of laundry detergent and has limited territory. Because this batch of goods is worth 1 billion yuan, it is the largest transaction of loyalty. If he were really stolen by a bad guy, he would have the heart to kill. Normally, loyalty and righteousness are traded in the tens of millions, every time. I also heard that the Ni family gave up their laundry detergent business this time, and the amount is only so large. Yes, big brother. Everyone present glanced at each other and then nodded respectfully. At this moment, a group of uninvited guests arrived at Ni's villa, and the atmosphere in the living room was very oppressive. Huang Zhicheng, what did you just say about Poker Street? Uncle San clenched his fist and stared angrily at Huang Zhicheng in front of him. If it weren't for being pulled by Yonghao, I probably would have rushed up and beaten him up long ago. Huang Zhicheng led a group of people into the Ni family and even made sarcastic remarks about his elder brother before his death. The most crucial thing is that he knows that his elder brother's death is related to this guy. Although Yonghao was holding on to his third uncle, he also stared coldly at Huang Zhicheng. Don't move, what are you doing? The other members of the serious case team all pulled out their guns and nervously stared at the people in the villa. Sir, be careful not to survive tonight. Yonghao, however, did not get angry and waved his hand at the others, then smiled and spoke up. I don't know if I can live through tonight. But you openly threatened the police, you can't leave the police station tonight anyway. Huang Zhicheng looked at Yonghao with a smile on his face and stepped forward with one foot. Number 9 Nathan Road Salisbury Road. After Yonghao exhaled a mouthful of thick smoke, he playfully opened his mouth. As soon as the words fell, everyone was stunned, but Huang Zhicheng's face changed. Others don't know what this address is, but he is very familiar with it. Because this is exactly his home address. Others are getting used to you, but I don't know how to do it. You can give it a try. Yonghao flicked the cigarette ash and slowly walked to Huang Zhicheng's side, then put the cigar into his pocket. Ignoring the angry gazes of those bad guys around, and then lowering his voice to speak, if I can't get out of the police station, let your family sell salted duck egg below. Huang Zhicheng's face changed again and again, and he could tell that Yonghao was not joking. Now it was considered difficult to get off. But everyone did not notice that Gao Jin, who was standing upstairs, made a gesture towards the outside. Yonghao, you have the guts. Huang Zhicheng took a deep breath, with a flash of killing intent in his eyes, and then spoke coldly. After speaking, he turned around and left, not wanting to gamble his family's lives. Lu Qichang gave Yonghao a deep glance and then waved his hand to the crowd. He could tell that this guy was a lunatic, acting recklessly. Uncle San angrily kicked onto the sofa and was about to speak when he heard the sound of collisions coming from outside. When the crowd arrived outside the gate, they only saw Lu Qichang and others shouting, as well as Huang Zhicheng lying in a pool of blood. Not far away, a van collided with a police car, and a man was squatting on the ground in panic. Touch, touch. When Lu Zhicheng and others turned their heads, they saw Yonghao holding a bottle of champagne and looking at them with a smile on his face. Seeing this scene, Lu Zhicheng couldn't help but rush over. Even if he was foolish, he knew it was done by Yonghao. This is a lunatic. Others don't take revenge overnight, but this guy takes revenge on the spot. Take one more step forward, I'm afraid I'll kill you. Aji slowly walked out and sneered at Lu Zhicheng. He thought Wang Bao was crazy enough, but he didn't expect this newly recognized boss to be even more ruthless.